How often do you get so caught up in answering emails, commuting, and just running errands that you completely forget the sheer statistical miracle of even being alive?
Yeah, I mean, it is so easy to forget.
Right. Well, that tension between the profound miracle of our biological creation and the daily trap of worldly attachments, that is the core of a beautifully reflective hymn by Phagat Kabeer. And that is exactly what we are exploring in today's deep dive.
Yeah, and the framing of this text is, well, it's actually really striking right from the start. I mean, it's written in rag Aasaa, which is a musical measure in the Sikh tradition that traditionally evokes this feeling of hope and like the early dawn.
Oh, interesting.
Right, yet Kabeer uses this hopeful morning tone to deliver a pretty severe wake-up call. Like, rather than starting with a warning about death to make us value time, he starts right at our biological creation.
It's honestly wild.
Yeah.
He describes how we are built from a single drop and then protected for 10 months in what is translated as the fire pit of the mother's womb.
Yeah, the fire pit.
I mean, why fire pit? That sounds almost hostile, doesn't it?
Well, it's a metaphor for incubation, intense transformation. Think of a kiln firing clay into something solid, or the intense heat you need to forge something precious.
Oh, I see.
It is an environment of extreme vulnerability, sure, but there is this meticulous divine protection happening there. The biological organism is completely sustained.
So we basically survived this high-stakes, 9-month tightrope walk, only to trip over our own shoelaces the second we step onto solid ground.
Exactly.
Because the moment we are born, we're immediately tangled up in Maya, this illusion of worldly attachments.
Yeah, the contrast is entirely deliberate.
It's like we trade the absolute miracle of our existence for an endless pursuit of shiny objects and greed.
That is the central tragedy he is pointing out. We go from being perfectly nurtured by the divine to, well, aggressively ignoring that same spiritual connection.
Right, in favor of accumulating wealth or social status.
Exactly. And in the process, we lose what Kabeer calls the jewel of life.
Man, and because we're so hyper-focused on those shiny objects, time just evaporates. I mean, the text warns about how fast an infant grows old, suddenly realizing they haven't planted any seeds of good action.
Yeah, it talks about us foolishly sitting around hoping for a long life.
While the messenger of death is actively counting our breaths. Honestly, that imagery is terrifying. Are these just like ancient scare tactics?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely reads that way at first glance, but looking at the underlying mechanics of the text, it is not about inducing panic.
Okay, then what is it about?
It's about breaking through our delusion of infinite time. Every time your calendar sends a notification or you watch the clock tick down to a deadline, that is a modern echo of this countdown.
Wow, yeah.
The text explicitly warns that which was to happen has happened. The urgency is meant to shock you out of autopilot before you physically run out of breaths.
But wait, I mean, if we're supposed to walk around intensely aware that our breaths are literally numbered, how do we function?
Right, it sounds overwhelming.
Yeah, it seems like a recipe for constant anxiety. We still have to pay rent, we still have to live and participate in society.
And Kabeer accounts for that. He doesn't demand you abandon the world. Instead, he introduces this brilliant concept of bajagari sansar, which describes the world as a game.
A game?
Yeah. Since you are in the world, you have to interact with the board. But the ultimate instruction is to throw the dice consciously.
Throw the dice consciously. I love that. So life isn't a miserable waiting room for death. It is a strategic board game.
Exactly.
But how do you throw the dice consciously when you are just sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic or writing a mundane weekly report?
Well, by shifting your internal anchor. Throwing the dice consciously means maintaining an active awareness of the divine, your spiritual purpose, while executing those daily tasks.
Right, so it's the difference between honking at someone in traffic out of pure ego and rage.
Yeah, versus taking a breath, recognizing the shared humanity in the situation, and choosing patience. Your actions in the world are the dice.
Oh, I get it.
When you throw them with mindfulness, rather than being blindly dragged along by Maya, you change the entire nature of the game.
So the dice aren't just being rolled in a temple. They're being rolled in every email, every conversation, literally every choice.
Because the game is happening right now, whether you realize you are sitting at the table or not.
That is so powerful. We have to recognize the profound miracle of how we got here. Refuse to let greed steal that precious jewel of life and play the game with an urgent, mindful consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which brings us to the very next move you're about to make today. If you could literally see the messenger of death tallying your breaths right over your shoulder. How would you throw the dice differently in the very next choice you make?